Hello, upper cervical doctors and students. Welcome back to the UCM podcast. I'm Dr. Bill Davis, your host for today. And on the podcast today, very excited to have Dr. Stan Dombroski. Dr. Stan, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a long time since you've been on.
Thanks. It has been a while. We were just talking, I don't know, 10 years, 8 years ago, 7 years ago. I don't know. A long time ago.
It's a long time. It's a long time. We were both younger, but I remember that. Yeah.
I didn't have as much gray then. It now shows
I probably had more hair. Yeah, either way, it's great to have you back on the podcast. For anybody out there that doesn't know you, Dr. Stan, please just give us a little intro.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in my main office is in Zeeland, Michigan, with our second office in Grand Rapids. So we're on the west side of Michigan. If you ever talk to anyone from Michigan, we're like right here. But we've been in practice. So November will be 22 years doing NUCCA, starting off in a small town of 6,000. And the town has grown, and so have we over the years. And it's been good. It's been it's a learning process from the beginning, and you don't know what you don't know when you get into it, and then you just grow with it. But as the town grew, we grew as well, and here we are today.
Awesome. So starting out, 22 years in practice. Now, when you first came out of school, remind me, did you do an associate position first, or did you go right into practice?
No, I went right into practice. I knew the area where I wanted to be, and I didn't have anything against doing an associateship or working with somebody.
Yeah.
I just knew the area where I wanted to be, and there was no one here. Like I used to have to drive 5 hours round trip over to see Keith Denton, Dr. Denton over in Monroe, to get adjusted. So I do that on a Saturday, and so, but there was no one else around to work with, and this is what I wanted to do. And so I said, all right, let's do it. Let's figure it out.
Let's do it. Yeah. So Zeeland, so that's the area you're from originally?
No, I'm originally from southeastern Ohio.
Okay.
I defected to Michigan. After becoming an anti-Ohio State fan.
Right.
No, my sister lived here, and I spent the summer here before chiropractic school, and I really loved the area. And so afterwards I decided to move back, and I moved back, opened my practice, met my wife. My sister moved to North Carolina. I stayed here, and it's been home since.
Nice. So you mentioned Zeeland it's a pretty small area, right? So 6,000 people in that.
So it was 6,000 people when I first moved here.
Okay.
It's grown since. I don't know what it's grown to, but the area was really interesting. So we're 30 minutes from Grand Rapids, which is the second largest city in Michigan.
Okay.
But to people who live here, Zeeland is so far away from Grand. They're like all the way in Zeeland, and people from Zeeland, Holland here, they're like all the way up in Grand Rapids. And I say it's literally 30 minutes, and it's all highway. It's like really easy. And yeah.
That's the perception. The perception is that it's very far from Grand Rapids.
Yeah, very far away.
Yeah.
And sorry, I forget why I started answering that. Like what the point of it was.
Yeah. But you were saying, so Zeeland, it has grown over the years.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. And so it was 6,000 people who lived here, but because of all the manufacturing here, the population would double every day. So there's a company called Gentex here. It's one of the largest employers in the area, but all those auto dimming mirrors in your car that have like the cameras and stuff like that, they make those. Another place, Herman Miller, they make all these office furniture stuff for all over the world and country. They're headquartered here in town. And so it's a tiny little town with a lot of just stuff. And so a lot of people come here, and it's a
Interesting
place to be.
So because of that, because the town kind of expands during the day, huh? So there's a lot more people there during the day than actually live there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting. So do you get a lot of people from those businesses that come there during the day? Do they come to see you as patients?
Oh yeah. It's lunch break. So we've kind of made our schedule based on that. So we see patients from 8:30 to 1:30 because people like to come during that 12 to 1:30 period. And then we take our lunch from 1:30 to 3, and then we see people from 3 to 6:30. And so we catch people after work. Second shift gets off right around 3, and so people come in then, and then we're here till 6:30 for the ones who work till 5, and it works out pretty well.
Interesting. So as you started, I mean, you're going on your own, right? You came into practice, and talk about those early years of getting started in practice. New area, new doctor, new technique, new everything, right? So
Yeah.
what was it like getting going?
It's terrifying. That's what it was. It was, but it's one of those things where I signed the lease. I'm like, all right, we got to make it work now.
Yeah.
And so I opened my office, and about 3 days into it, I realized I had no idea what I was doing. And not in sense in terms of taking care of people. I felt confident on that, which is, I mean, really what chiropractic school is designed to do. It's designed to teach you how to take care of people. It's not designed to teach you how to run a business. And it doesn't guarantee success. If you have a diploma, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be successful. So about 3 days into it, I realized I had no idea what I was doing. And so I called a management company, and I've been with them ever since. But they really guided me in the right direction to say, hey, we got to do this. You got to do this. We have to do this. And they said, it doesn't matter what you do. Business is business. These are the steps you have to follow. And it made a lot of sense. But really, it was something that I think Bill Esteb said. I heard him say a long time ago. He said that the most comfortable place for every chiropractor getting out of school is sitting right below their diploma. They're like, look what I did. This is I accomplished that. And
it's like, mine. Look, it's mine right there.
Exactly. But he said that 100% of all new patients are found outside of your office. And I thought, well, that makes a lot of sense. And so back then, there really wasn't the internet marketing. There wasn't. I mean, yeah, we had back in the day, we had cell phones then, and we had the internet, but it really wasn't a thing. And so I had this big old SAM unit, the strings, the weight, the scales on each side. Felt like it weighed about 800 pounds, and we would lug that thing to wherever we could, wherever there were people. It was like Curves, like the women's workout place. We would go, and I would do an evening there, and I would leave the SAM unit there and go back the next morning to hit the morning crew. And then right down the street from our office, from our first office, every Friday they'd have a farmer's market. And if I was slow, I would pick up the SAM unit, carry it to the end of the block, get a cooler full of water, and hand out water and screen people, look at their spines, and just talk to them about chiropractic and about NUCCA. And it makes sense to people. Whenever you explain chiropractic to people, and not just upper cervical and not just NUCCA, when you explain chiropractic itself to people, it makes sense. They're like, oh, that's not what I see on TikTok. That's not whatever they're doing there. But whenever you explain how God has designed us to function properly, it just needs no interference. And when you explain that to people and you show them what's happening with their body, and you show them how the subluxation is affecting their day-to-day life and their problems that are affecting their ability to sleep, their ability to function, their ability to be a good parent, whatever it is, it clicks, and they say, oh, that makes total sense. And so it became kind of easy because it was the same conversation that we were having in the office. We measure hips, measure shoulders. We look at posture all day. So when you're out in the community and you can talk to somebody on that level of what you do every day, not only does it make your ability to go out and talk to people out in the public stronger, but it makes your ability to have that conversation inside the office. So when someone has an objection or a question, you say, you know what, I've practiced this 1,000 times. This is an easy answer. And so that's how we got started. Just going around and talking to people and inviting them into the office, and then doing the best job we could with them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we were blessed enough to do a good enough job on those people, and they they sent other people in, and so it worked well.
But it's a great point that you made there was you got to get reps, right? Like you have to be able to consistently talk to people, right? Like, I mean, and if you're just sitting in your practice, like you said, sitting under the diploma, right, and just hoping somebody comes in, maybe having a couple of patients a week, right? You don't have that consistent, you're not getting those reps, right? You're not getting enough. It's like, if you're a baseball fan, you got to get swings. You got to swing the bat. If you don't swing the bat, you can't hit the ball. And so it's the same thing. I mean, you've got to get out there. You got to get basketball example, you got to get shots up, right? The more shots you get up, the more shots you're going to make. Same thing with like a new doc, right? You got to get out of the practice, get out of there, go talk to people.
Exactly. If people are going to say no, and that's okay.
Yes.
That's a great skill to develop. When someone says no, it doesn't affect you one way or the other. It's just
right.
Where they are, where you are. Like, okay, who's next?
Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? Right?
Exactly.
You just got to keep moving. Keep moving. Yeah, and I love what I was, what Ilse said when you first opened. It is a little bit terrifying, and that's a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Dr. Noel Lloyd, right, says that chiropractic practice is the gymnasium of the soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
It will work you out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it'll make you pray more. That's for sure. And so, got going, you got started building that practice, and at a certain point, you got to the place where you're like, okay, we're reaching capacity issues. We need more help, right? We need another doctor. So how far into the practice was that where you hired the first associate?
So he started with me in March of 2008. And so I opened in November of 2003. And
okay, about 5 years in. Yep.
Yep. And so we his practice was literally like around the corner from mine. He would come over. And he was a Palmer grad. He did Palmer package. He was in practice for 15 years, and I was taking care of him and then adjusting his kids. And one day he just said, "Hey, you know what? Every time I'm here, it's busy." He goes, "There's families. I just don't know how to do that." He goes, "I've always been interested in upper cervical work." He goes, "What would you think if we worked together?" And so he would come over on Tuesdays, and I would start. We'd be back on the view box, and I'm the old plain film with the cephalometer and the parallel, and he came in one day and he's like, he goes, "I'm having dreams about 3/32 of an inch, 1/8, and like all the NUCCA calculations back when we had to do it all by hand, and so, but building up to that, I really wanted to see what it was like, what I could handle, what I liked. And so I built up to just by myself, 1 CA, or 2 CAs, I can't remember, built up to over 200 visits a week. And man, I didn't like that. I got to the point where people were like, they would cancel, and I would say, "Oh, good." Which isn't a good place. Which isn't a good place to be. Not. And so from there, then ended up bringing in Dr. Paul. He's still with us. So since 2008, we've worked well together. He's in a slow retirement now, so he's slowly kind of backing out off the days after 30 some years of practice. And so so that's been cool. But no, it built up to that point, and then I found that level that I was happy, where I felt like, we put in a solid day. I can still go home and be with the family and function and be excited when people were coming in, as opposed to why are you here? It was a good place to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And bringing in Dr. Paul also. Now I didn't have to make that 5-hour trip over to see Dr. Dent anymore. Which was nice, but it is nice going over there to kind of be in that birthplace of NUCCA and to see Dr. Gregory's stuff still there, and to talk to Keith. That was always really good. But it was nice because I didn't have to make that trip. But it also opened up different possibilities. Meaning, I could go to the NUCCA conference, or I could go on vacation, and the practice would still run. I remember the one time we went on vacation, and Dr. Paul texted me on Friday, and he goes, Friday night, he goes, "I saw 275 visits this week." Now, he was seeing about 125 a week at this point. And so I left, and he texted me, "I saw 275 this week. I'm going to go have a beer." And so, but it opens up things to allow you to do that, for your people to still be seen and serviced, and you can go away with your family. And so that really opened things up, and it gave it for him too. It gave him an opportunity, because he was a solo practitioner, no front desk, anything like that when he started, and it gave him an opportunity to be home with his family, to go on vacations, and his patients would be seen. And so it was just a win-win all over.
That's awesome. So So the practice location you're in now, is this the same practice location you've been in all these years, or
since '08? Yeah. So
since 08? Okay, since Dr. Paul came on.
Yeah.
Around
So
that time.
the first day we were in this office was his first day in office. So we had to do a build out. It was an ENT office prior to that, and
Gotcha.
so we did a build out. It's time for renovation, but
Yeah.
I've got a goal set first before I can do that. I gotta get the board certification.
Nice.
And once I pass my board certification, then we're going to do an upgrade. So that's kind of that carrot thing.
I love it. So, before we started the podcast, we were talking about, the way your practice is set up and the way that people flow in and out of your rooms. And I thought it was a really cool setup. And so I'd love for you to just kind of talk about how it's set up and how it really improves your efficiency and allows you to help more people in the community.
Yeah. So I should probably, I'm inherently lazy. So a lot of people don't agree with that, but really my tendencies are to do as little as possible. And so the way my office is set up is I don't want to be running down the hallway. I want to be able to have an ear and an eye on everything that's happening. If I need to be. So the way my office is set up is we have our reception area and front desk. Well, my door is literally it opens up right into the reception area. And so I open the door, there is a chair right on the other side of my door. That's part of the reset. There's, how many, I say 5, 7 chairs out there. And so we just, when we finish the appointment, the doors are always open. We never close the doors. And so they get up and they're done and they walk out. And I know who's next. I just poke my head around and say, Mary, come on in. And they take the 4 or 5 steps into the office. Now, could it probably be more efficient if they were already in the room next door and they were already set up and I just had a slider here and I walked you? Probably. But we have a physical limitation. I mean, we have 1,475 square feet. We have 3 adjusting rooms here, 4 doctors in this office. And so we have to kind of stagger things and schedules. And so for us, it works really well because people are already just right on the other side of that door. So they come in and we go through our measurements and do what we need to do. And it works well. And each doctor is basically the same way. The adjusting room right on the other side of that wall, our doors are right next to each other. And so they open up basically right into the reception area as well. And when I'm at my adjusting table, I can look right out at the front desk and have direct eye contact with the CA. So oftentimes there's 2 CAs at the desk. And so the other office can see both of them. But I have direct line of sight to the CA. So if there's something that's happened, we seem to make eye contact or whatever it is, they're like, hey, this needs to happen. Then it's really easy that way.
Yeah, that's cool. So it really keeps everything very connected, right? Sounds like it. I mean, you're very much connected to what's going on at the front desk. They're connected to what's going on with what's going on in your room, even as you're adjusting. And then also obviously the patients are very much, they're right there, right? Like you can get them in and they're in the rooms, within a few steps. And so
it almost ends up being like an open adjusting area. So one of the benefits of an open adjusting area is when you're doing education for a patient, other people will hear it. And so a lot of times people will hear that when I'm going over something with someone. Maybe I'm talking about their pillow, or maybe I'm talking about whatever stressors are in their life that's breaking their body down and keeping them from holding their adjustment. They hear that. But then also there's the door that people can close if they do have, I want to talk about something private, or I'm just not comfortable with it open. So I have a handful of people, when they walk in the room, they just close the door and we go about our business, and when we're done, we just open it and go back out. But I would say cool. 98% of the people just leave it open.
So the door stays open. You don't ever close the door yourself, but patients have the ability to close it if they want to.
Yeah.
Right. So like you said, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get kind of an open adjusting type of feel, but also you have the privacy if someone wants it.
Yep.
That's really cool. So I mean, obviously you mentioned, you got 4 doctors now in the main location in Zeeland. And so talk about the build up to that. Like, how, 5 years in, first associate came in, still with you, Dr. Paul. What was, the next one, and then one after that and whatnot, as far as the growth of the practice?
Yeah, we've had Let's see, we had one, 2, 3, 4 others besides who's here now. And like when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. And so you have the theory, you have the steps and say, okay, this is what I should do. But as you move through, you realize, oh, wait a minute, that didn't work well. Either that was a step that worked well for somebody else, but didn't really jive with me, wasn't congruent with who I was. And I'm sure the early doctors, the early associate doctors that were with me, could have had a better experience. Just the systems that's been built up ever since, and learning from each one. There's been growth with each one, and so we ended up opening the second office for another doctor that was with us. She was doing really well, and she wanted her own office, and she reached certain benchmarks. Really great. So we opened this office, and then had another doctor up there with her who was a kind of a personal friend. They knew each other for a while. And so we had 2 doctors in that office that were working. And then this doctor, she got married, didn't want kids, but then got pregnant with twins. And then we had a meeting during maternity leave. And she's like, my priorities have changed. I'm not coming back. And,
sure.
It kind of stunk, but I understood it. Made sense. And the other one was her friend. And so she was like, yeah, I think I'm going to leave at this point too. So then we went through the process of, okay, now we got to figure out how to keep this one going. And then so we found another doctor that came in, and we, we just kept kind of grinding, and then finally he ended up moving away to the other side of the country. And then this office was too big, and overhead was way too much so we found an office just down the street, which was perfect for us. It was the right size. I mean, it's tiny. It's like 600 square feet, but I mean, rent is $800 a month, and that's electric, water. That everything we pay for is the phone and internet. That's the only thing, and we have it basically set up the same way. We have the reception area. Right on the other side of that is the adjusting room. Right on the other side of that is the exam and X-ray. And we can just be efficient going in there. And so we have 3 doctors in that office, not at the same time, obviously. But we have, I'm up there on Wednesdays, Wednesday morning. Dr. Megan, who's one of the main doctors here, she's up there Monday afternoon. And so for a while, it was just us 2 working 2 half days. And with having such a low overhead, it worked out well because we didn't have a big nut to crack every month with it. And so we kept it going. And then Dr. Landon joined us. And once he got trained and through, now he's up there 5 days a week. And we've expanded the hours there with the growth. We had to bring on another CA for the expanded hours, and so things are growing, and just trying to keep it as efficient as possible. But every time you grow, there's growing pains. There's always whatever system got you from 0 to 100 isn't the same system that's going to get you from 100 to 200, 200 to 300, 300 to 400. Those systems have to change as you grow, and during those transition times, those are the stress points. Those are the ones that the old systems are being stressed, and then you have the stress of bringing in the new system with the hope that it's going to work better. Sometimes they work better, sometimes they don't work better. But we try it to build it the best that we can to make it as efficient as possible and to work properly.
That's really cool. So just to clarify, so now you have the 2 locations. You have the one in Zeeland, the one in Grand Rapids, and total doctors in the system between the 2 locations. Is it 4 doctors total? Is that
let's see,
or 5?
5 total.
5 total. Okay, so 5 total, and but 3 of them go between both locations, or do you have one that just is at Grand Rapids now?
Just Dr. Landon is just at Grand Rapids.
Just at Grand Rapids. Okay, so he's essentially the clinic director at that location at this point. Is that right? Gotcha. All right, but then you're there at least. You say you're there like a half day week per week.
I'm there every Wednesday morning from 8:30 to 1.
Gotcha. And so that gives you a feel for what's going on there, how the culture is, making sure that it's consistent with what's happening at Zeeland, right? You're trying to keep the two practices connected to one another, right?
Yes. And And it gives us a time for he and I to meet. So here in Zeeland, I have one-on-one meetings with the other doctors. And then we have a training time. So we train every Thursday at 2:30. So we have our training time. And up in Grand Rapids, Dr. Landon and I, 1 o'clock, we have our meeting and then training until 2. And then he starts seeing patients at 2 o'clock. So we always have our meetings to keep touch with each other, to go over things, to work on our skills, to work on our pools or setups, whatever it is we're working on, X-ray. It gives us that connection period.
That's awesome.
And then even one of the CAs from up there, she was started here and then she moved up to there. So she still comes down here every Tuesday. So our team lead and her can meet, talk about different things, so we can try to keep as much consistency as possible.
Nice. So you go up there on Wednesdays, you see patients, and then after you see patients, you meet with Dr. Landon and go and train and do all the stuff to keep them connected.
Yep.
That's really great. So yeah, I think that's so wise that you both you got your CA coming up to Zeeland and staying connected with what's going on. And then you are going down there as well, because I mean, I've seen doctors where, you have a satellite location and it literally becomes its own little satellite over there, right? It's floating around the planet rather than being part of the mothership, right?
That's where I messed up the first time. And so, the first office we opened, I was completely hands off. I'm like, you know what, you guys got this, completely hands off. And that was a mistake. And I learned from that afterwards. And so now it's okay. How much communication can we have? And we're still trying to figure out that communication.
Sure.
Or what's too much communication? What's not enough communication? How do we stay in contact? And so everyone can run the best they can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, man, that is so good because the key thing, right, is to they're two different businesses, right? But they have to be connected to the culture, right? They both have to, like you said, they have to run on their own. They have to be profitable. They both have to be profitable, but they can't be disconnected from one another and not have any resemblance of each other, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the challenge there. You have to constantly balance.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. So what's next for your growth? What are you looking to the future for?
That's a good question. Really, that came with clarity over the last couple of years. Before I had told some friends, I said, I think I'm broken. And like, what do you mean you're broken? And I said, well, we set these goals, and then we hit these goals, and I'm kind of like, okay, well, yeah, we said it. We're supposed to hit it. What's next? There was always that lack of excitement after he hit it, or that joy. And what I discovered in that was two things. Two, was that goal really congruent with who I am and where I wanted to go? And two, Noel always says, he goes, learn to fall in love with the process. He goes, fall in love with the process. I had no idea what that meant. I'm like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It just seems like a lot of work, and this is the goal that I'm reaching for. So I'm going to get here. But after like the last couple of years of realizing the reason why we're hitting those goals and they weren't exciting is because they weren't really what I wanted. And the clarity came with looking at the NUCCA work and going for board certification to say, this is really where I wanted to go. And I've just been throwing other things at it to try to try to make it seem like, yeah, this is exciting. This is what I want to do. And it really wasn't. It was until we really boiled it down and got to that pinpoint to say, this is where we're going. Now the growth of that and talking with Marshall, Dr. Nick Olds Jr. and going through the Gregory standard and just reconnecting in there with the Gregory philosophy of maximal reduction. I mean, Dr. Gregory was like, the Atlas subluxation is going to, these are his words, these are my words I tell people, is that the Atlas subluxation is going to, it's going to kill you painfully and slowly. And if you don't have that conviction of the Atlas subluxation complex and what it's actually doing to your person, to the person that's in front of you, then your message is going to be off a little bit. But it wasn't until I really boiled down to that point to say it's about the maximal reduction of the Atlas subluxation to give this person the utmost ability to heal and to function and to live, and realizing that, you know, God put us here on this planet for a reason, and He put all of us in this office, in your office, and whoever's office of taking care of patients. He could take care of all the people anytime He wanted. He could be like, okay, everyone's good, everything is great, but He wanted to give me a job. And so he's like, hey, you need to do this for me, okay? So, and I expect you to do it the best that you can. And once I really realized and had that realization, is like, oh, how do we do that? And we do that by removing the subluxation to the best of our ability, to the maximal reduction that we can get. And so once we boiled that down, now the process became enjoyable. This is what Noel was saying. He's like, then you learn to enjoy the process, learn to love the process. And so I'm on my last phase of level 3 in certification, so 4 sets of films. And I think I've submitted 5 sets. And I got another learning opportunity with each set. And before, in the past, I would get upset and be like, well, I don't even know what I'm talking about. and now it's like, they're right. These are terrible. When they can point it out and then be like, okay, how can I fix it? So you're learning to enjoy the process. So that's the future where we're going, is I want every one of our doctors engaged in the certification process, that our main focus is the reduction of the Atlas subluxation process, or the complex. How do we get people to hold their adjustment as long as possible and do the best that they can? And so that's really our goal. That's where we're going, and that's my focus right now.
I love it. I love it. And you finally figured out what Noel's been saying all these years, huh?
Man, you know, they say you can send a message around the world in a split second, but it can take years to go that last quarter of an inch. It's so true.
Yep, that's awesome, man. I love that. I love that pursuit of excellence, right? The pursuit of excellence. That's what God has designed us to do, right? Whatever we have been placed to do for the sake of His kingdom is ultimately, we want to do it with excellence. Work as if working for the Lord, not for men.
Exactly.
So, man, I love this conversation. I really appreciate it. I know you got a hard stop. I'm going to ask you one last question, and it's self-serving. I'm just going to say it. It's very self-serving. I'm even going to ask this question, but you've been working with us for a while, UCM, and we're trying to help you grow your practice and help both your practices. How's it been going?
Okay. So I was with you guys a while ago.
Yeah.
And then I stopped. And then I joined again. And what I've noticed about the 2 different times is, before, I paid monthly and I expected it just to work. And so now, learning over the last 7, 8 years, however long it's been, is this is a tool. And it's a tool that's going to work as well as you use it. What I mean by that is, so for example, the dashboard. Whenever you get the opportunity comes in, you have these people that are reaching up or raising their hand. They're like, hey, I like what you're saying. I'd like to talk to you. And so now it's our job to say, hey, we'd like to talk to you too. And now we got to connect. And so if we're not following up and connecting how we're supposed to connect, well, that's going to fall off and things aren't going to work well. And so really the key is having this tool, setting up the system to where it can function properly. One of the things I love is the automations that we have set up. And so as soon as someone gets moved over to ROF confirmed, boom, it's automatic that the paperwork gets sent out to them. Whenever care plan started, boom, it's the automatic 8-week education program. If someone gets lost in that process, or they stop, or they don't want to come in, and then they move over to the last column, I can't think of the name of it right now, but now we've created a 27 email drip system where we just stay in front of them for a while and say, well, maybe they'll come in, maybe they won't. It's not going to hurt us if they don't, because they're not here already. So, but if it does catch one of them or 2 of them or whatever it is, and they say, yep, I'd like to come in, great. We've got our opportunity to talk to another person. And so really this time we're using the tool. We're integrating the tool into our systems. Again, like we talked about systems before, that change of a system kind of gives a little bumpy road at first, but when things smooth out, they work a lot better. And it's great having these calls with Tony and to be able to say, hey, is this working, or this isn't working? Hey, I noticed the SEO really took a tank on this. What's happening with that? Oh, let me look into it. And being responsive, and so it's been much better this time, and not because of you, but because of us actually using the tool, how it's designed to be used.
That's cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. And you know, I'm so grateful that you did come back and that we are helping you again. I love you, your practice, and what you guys are doing in Michigan. And I just want to continue to see you bring hope and healing to more and more sick and suffering people there. And so that's what we're all about. And I'm glad we're partnering with you. And so thank you again, Dr. Stan, for doing this today, being on the podcast. And for everybody listening, thank you for listening, and go team upper cervical.
All right.